very, very similar to Wisconsin without Jonathan Taylor, but strikingly similar statistics when it comes to yards rushing per game, yards per rushing attempt, sacks allowed, time of possession, a lot of the key metrics that Wisconsin's very good at. So is Iowa. Michigan's taking on what I would, again, Wisconsin light. Michigan State traveling to Columbus to take on the Patriots light. Because Ohio State looks absolutely phenomenal right now.
God, they're good.
And oddly, Michigan State doesn't beat Ohio State in East Lansing, but they do beat Ohio State in Columbus.
Yeah, we've done it.
Not the last time out. The last time out was a 48-3 bloodletting. But
before that, they'd won 2 in a row. And strangely, Ohio State has won 7 in a row in East Lansing. But so there's road field advantage. I wouldn't go that far, but
okay.
I guess let's look at the Michigan game first.
Okay.
They have a common opponent this year in Middle Tennessee State.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan started the year in Middle Tennessee State, won 40-21. Iowa just played them and smoked them 48-3.
And had like 650 yards of offense.
Now, that's got to give Michigan fans even more reason to pause if they're not pausing already because of the drubbing at the hands of Wisconsin. I don't think anybody's looking at the Rutgers game and going, here we come.
Nope.
The Rutgers
game, the only positive the Rutgers game potentially had, there's 2 things. One is maybe a little confidence. Just give them some confidence. 2 is maybe, and I think it's a big maybe, but maybe they found their better suited guy for the middle of their defense in Cam McGrone. But hey, you got to do it against somebody other than Rutgers.
Well, and maybe they get some more experience there too, which is something too.
They get health up. I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones looked a lot. He wasn't limping at all, whereas up in Wisconsin, he looked like he was moving very gingerly. He didn't look like he was moving gingerly against Rutgers, and neither did John Runyon. But anyway.
Which, by the way, Rutgers is another common opponent. Both teams shut out Rutgers. So Michigan did it with more style with 52-0. Iowa did it at 30-0. This game is, I don't know. It's homecoming for Michigan, right?
Yes.
So does that add a little extra pep for the Wolverines? I don't know if the guys in the locker room even care about the homecoming. What they care about is what's going on with their season. And they need this game badly.
Yep.
And it's not going to be easy. Iowa is one of the best coached teams in the country, and Big Ten fans have known this for a long time. Kirk Ferentz knows what he's doing over there with that program, and he's got them off to a great start at 4-0. This is the biggest test for Iowa so far this year. They got past Iowa State in a rivalry game by a point, but this is their first big test. I guess Iowa's defense, I think that's how good is Iowa's defense? Can they get pressure on the quarterback? Can they make things difficult for Shea Patterson?
They haven't gotten home very much this year. I thought that their pass rush would be better, and it hasn't been particularly good, at least in terms of sack totals. I mean, they got a guy that they think is going to go in the top 10 in the draft or in the top first round of the draft. But
the big concern for Michigan has to be the run defense and Iowa's rush offense, because Iowa runs the ball just fine, well over 200 yards a game, and Michigan is giving up. Now, some of that's got to be skewed because of
Jonathan Taylor,
Wisconsin, but 168 yards a game they're giving up.
But I think both Iowa and Wisconsin have 5.2 yards per carry. Look, I mean, it's a stupid broken record, but it is what it is. Michigan needs to make sure they don't turn the ball over. And as far as, stopping the Iowa run will be a big deal. But, this is kind of feels like what kind of season is it going to be? Are they going to have an incredibly disappointing season where they're looking at 4 or 5 losses, or are they going to pull it back together and try and scratch and claw and get to the game against Ohio State with only 1 conference loss, and have a chance to do that? They've been put on the rush in front. They've been counted out. They've been ridiculed, and after the Wisconsin game, nobody would say that they didn't deserve it. I mean, it was a really, really poor performance. So can they slow down? Like Nate Stanley's incredibly efficient from a quarterback spot too.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be intrigued to see the matchup of Michigan's corners against the Iowa wide receivers, because I think if you're Michigan, you try and go man-to-man and stack the box and stop the run that way. Make them run into an 8-man box and see if that slows them down.
Well, it should be a good game. What's the spread on that one? Michigan by 4 or something?
I've seen different numbers, but I can go see what it's at right now.
I believe Michigan's
favored, but I don't think they're favored by that much. Michigan State and Ohio State. First of all, by the way, any surprise with the transfer portal with Connor Hayward, and who was the other one?
Boyer Randall?
Yes.
No. Boyer Randall was finding himself slipping on the depth chart and not really gaining a position, and Connor Hayward had been ineffective for the last 2 years and was losing time to freshmen and redshirt freshmen. So not surprised at all.
Mm-hmm.
Best of luck to him. But I don't think Michigan State's going to miss either of those players. Against
barring injuries.
Barring injuries, yeah. But I mean, Connor Hayward never really had that kind of feel like this is going to be the guy. I mean, he had a couple of games where you thought, okay, maybe. He just seemed like a bigger running back that just didn't do a whole lot. And some of that might be, it's not all on him. It's on that offensive line too. But at the same token, Collins is rushing very well for Michigan State. So, yeah, I don't think it's a big loss for Michigan State. The game on Saturday, well, this is a big one. Ohio State's favored by almost 20. I think it's 20.5 points was the last spread that I saw. And Ohio State just seems to be on a mission. They are destroying teams this year. I mean, who knew that the team was going to put the most points on to this point was going to be Florida Atlantic in the first game of the year. They put 21 points against Ohio State, and then they've gone out and given up 0, 10, 5, and 7. That's a really complete football team. That's just the defensive side. The offensive side is terrifying. This offense might be the best offense Ohio State's ever had. Justin Fields at quarterback is this true dual threat guy. He can throw it, he can run it, and he does both equally well. He's a stud. He was a 5-star recruit. He's the transfer from Georgia. Georgia went on a run on getting all these 5-star quarterback recruits. This guy said, I'm not going to sit behind Fromal for another couple of years here. I'm going to go elsewhere. He gets that immediate transfer to Ohio State, and he's making it worth their while. He's growing up. I said this before the season, that a guy like Justin Fields is only going to get better with Ohio State as the season goes on. Most players in college football should, but him, because he's so young, his learning curve can be accelerated, and it looks like it's been accelerated. He's outstanding. He's already got 16 touchdown passes on the year in 5 games, let alone what he's done running the football. This is obviously the biggest test for Michigan State. It'll be the biggest test for them all season long. Ohio State's a legitimate national championship contender. Can Michigan State's defense slow them down at all is a question. And the other question is, the offensive line of Michigan State is not very good. What's going to happen when that pass rush comes at them? Because they've got legitimate top 10 picks on that defense.
This is one of those games that I don't want to say fearful for Lewerke, but
I am. I'll say it.
It can be. It can have lasting ramifications because that kid can't afford to get him hurt. Can't afford to get him hurt.
No, I mean, look, Michigan State's defense is really good, but I'm concerned that they got exposed a little bit last week against Indiana, and who also had a dual threat quarterback. He's not Justin Fields, and yet he was able to do kind of what he wanted for a while. He got real comfortable completing 20 passes in a row against that Michigan State defense. Now, will Michigan State make the adjustments necessary to kind of shore up those areas? Maybe, but Ohio State has much different players than Indiana did. The receivers are incredible. The running back Dobbins is ridiculous. They've got backups to backups to backups. This is the program in the country, at least north of Alabama and South Carolina that people are looking at, because this is the only team that competes with Clemson and Alabama.
Be intrigued to see as Ohio State gets into the bulk of the schedule where they kind of settle into be, because right now they look absolutely unbeatable. And I'm sure they're not unbeatable, but right now the two most impressive teams in the country, in my estimation, are Ohio State and Auburn. And if you were just doing rankings that didn't include preseason expectations, I'd have probably Auburn 1 and Ohio State 2.
I would have Ohio State 1, Alabama 2. Auburn and LSU are right up there. And I'm not impressed with Clemson at all.
248-539-9797. Ticket text 97136 if you want to get into it at all about what you think could go down in this one. I wonder how many people saw this last night, too. 11:50, we'll get to that. And the latest Jalen Ramsey trade rumor is interesting. That at 12:05. 97.1 The Ticket.